betting show. Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew McInnis. He is Dave Cokin. Pretty good morning for myself. Hit my best bet at least. I went 2-2, but the loser was 1-2%, and then the winner was the big winner was 4%. So I'll take that. I'll take any profit I can really get, and we'll move on to the next day. So Dave, how's your day going, and how was your morning of KBO action?
Split two totals. A pretty easy winner on the Samsung game, and if you listened to the show yesterday, I also thought Samsung was worth a shot as an underdog, and that got there. Pretty exciting game. And I missed on the other total. The bullpens did not do a good job in the which game was it? I guess it was the Dinos game.
Yeah.
So small profit. I'll take it. And the free stuff actually worked pretty well because of the plus 170 on Samsung. So we'll see if we can pick up some more tonight.
Yeah, both of us cashed a ticket with the Samsung under, and they're definitely looking like a pretty big under team. Doosan, of course, at home, living up to that hype, being more of an under team at home.
Well, and they're shorthanded. I mean, that's the big thing is they're shorthanded. I mean, they're missing 3/4 of their infield right now.
That's why I was shocked to see. I saw a lot of people on Twitter, heavy public action on Doosan. And I mean, I guess those are just the guys that don't read into info, like you just said. So we'll get things started off right away in rotation order. Lotte Giants, Kiwoom Heroes. Look, my two losses on this game, I had 2% with Kiwoom on the run line, and I had first 5 innings under the total. If you watch this game or you see highlights or you even have a Twitter account, you should probably see some of the errors that were made by the catcher, by the infielders, different mistakes. I mean, look, we can talk about the success this Lotte team has had. I could easily sit here and just say I was on the wrong side, and I was on the wrong side. But for Lotte being a hot team, I mean, I don't think they won that in hot fashion. Dave, what are your thoughts on that game this morning and tomorrow's matchup?
Well, it was kind of an ugly game defensively, to be sure. I mean, the sequence that led to 2 runs was pretty bad, but you do see bad defense in this league on a fairly regular basis. Interesting matchup here because So and Troy have both been in good form recently. Troy's had 3 out of his last 4 big quality starts. Same thing for So, and they both pitched well against the opponent earlier in the season. So had a 6 2/3 innings of shutout ball, and Troy had 6 innings of 5-hit 1-run ball. You know, I think the pitchers are going to be fairly confident coming into this one. Not really interested in the side as much as the total.
Yeah, I leaned to the under for myself. Look at these guys, the way that they've been performing, and the matchup history against each other. So, look, I'd love to back Kiwoom, but I don't really want to take anything with the prices that we're getting here. So this could be an in-game live game for me to look at. You know, we can only read in so much to what they did this morning and try and think that they'd bounce back from some form. But also Lotte is, they're getting runs when they need to, and that's all that really matters for them. I would look at the under 10. Also, can't really go wrong with an over team total low for this Lotte team. I think it's pretty low, and they have been proving to us they can score. So I kind of go with the recent form here and think that they're getting kind of undervalued here with that spot. Samsung Lions, Doosan Bears. You mentioned it off the top. We touched on it for a second. This is a team that if anybody off the street would have asked me, Dave, who's cashing underdog tickets right now in the KBO, Samsung Lions would come to mind for me, and some pretty good numbers as well. You and I both with clients on the show as well on the under in this game this morning. Now looking at a 9 here, shaded towards the over, and looking at these pitching matchups, we see Flexen. He's on the mound for the Bears. He's 2-0. He's looked pretty solid. I'd have to say we're giving him the edge here. What do you look at for this game? Do you see the under continuing in this opportunity here with this game, or is it a whole new ball game with new guys on the mound?
Well, don't know what Flexen's been out, so not really sure how long he's going to go, or whether he's going to be a little rusty coming off a couple of missed rotation starts. His numbers are good, not fantastic, but good enough. And the thing about Flexen is he hasn't been really dominant, but he also hasn't had any bad starts. Yeah. He's been keeping his team in every game he's pitched, which at this point is 6 starts. He did miss 1 start. Kim has been a little less certain. His ERA isn't bad, but the peripherals are not particularly good. I am one who kind of puts value in strikeouts, the ability to miss bats. And he's only got 12 strikeouts in 26 innings, which is kind of discouraging. So he's got to get help on batting average and balls in play. And thus far, he has. The BABIP is only 222, and he's got a pretty high strand rate as well. So he's had some good fortune. And even with Doosan shorthanded, I think there's a decent chance that they might get to him here. I would favor the Bears in this one. What is Doosan? I forgot their nickname. They are the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears. Yeah.
Okay. But I don't want to lay that kind of a price.
Yeah,
and again,
I agree. I'd probably go the -1 route, but like you said, we're seeing a lot closer of games. You look yesterday, we saw the 6-5, we saw the 4-3, and it's going to come back to bite you in the ass if you're doing it time in, time out. If you're going to lay a run line, pick a spot. Don't be just absolutely showering the board, painting the board with run line bets, because like Davis said, we want to follow the numbers and the stats here, but it's not going to be a full season until October of just only run lines cashing. Shout out to the guys in the chat. Jake Hurwitz saying he did his homework for the show today. It looks like he did. If you check the chat box there, he's got some stats out there for us. We got a guy saying Kiwoom looked like garbage, might be done betting them for a while. I don't like to say that about too many teams. I mean, I think you can always find a good opportunity on any team, really, besides Hanwha, if the value is right there and if the opportunity presents itself. I think I like the Bears as well. I like flexing, and I think one thing that you hit on, what I really like there, Dave, was that he's been consistent. He's not absolutely dominating, but I think it's 5. He's been pitched 5 or 6 innings in all of his starts so far in the season, and he looked pretty quality in all of them. It hasn't really fallen off at all. And you mentioned about Kim, his strikeout troubles. Some pitchers just aren't strikeout guys, but he is definitely not a strikeout guy, and that does worry me a little bit against this Doosan team. So I'll look to back them. NC Dinos, Kia Tigers. We're seeing, like usual, pretty heavy favorites for NC. Totals at 10. What are your thoughts on this one here? We saw the Tigers get the job done 7-4 against the Dinos. Dinos kind of waking up a little bit here. I guess we could say, other teams are waking up against them. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's tough to play 800 ball all season. It doesn't matter what league you're in. So they're hardly slumping. I mean, they're 26-10. So you can't say they're slumping, but they haven't.
I didn't say they were slumping.
Right? No, I know you didn't. What I'm saying is that there has to be a little regression, and maybe it's taking place right now. Matchup tonight, Mike Wright on the mound for the Dinos. He's been solid enough, kind of like Flexen, in that he hasn't been dominating by any means, but he's been fairly consistent. He's had a couple of games that weren't good. The one thing you still have to worry about with Wright is his control. He can lose the strike zone at times, and that can be a problem. The good news for him here is he's going against Lee, who's actually maybe pitched a little better than his numbers would indicate, but it's still the 5.15 ERA is not impressive. So even if you shave a run off that, you're probably still looking at a little better pitcher with Wright. Too big for me. Not really interested in laying the price. The Dinos not at their best right now, and however, the pitching edge does go for them. Lee has not been good in his last 2 starts, and if you're banking on current form, you'd have to give the nod to Wright in this one.
I like Wright quite a bit. He hasn't been a guy that everyone's writing storylines about, but he's also been a guy, just like you said with Flexen, where he's kind of just cool. You're going to toss him out there on the mound, and he's going to put up some numbers for you. He's going to look good. Nothing's going to fly off the charts, but you look at Lee, there are numbers flying off the charts, and those are bad numbers. So in this league, we're going to have bad prices sometimes, and this is an opportunity where I'm comfortable looking at NC here and, possibly looking at the -1 opportunity. So I like NC, I like Wright, and I'm going to fade Lee here. Also, there's not many times where you're going to see this team, and we saw the stats. NC, when they're scoring 4 or less runs, they're typically coming back and scoring 7 or 8 the next. So, that stat certainly speaks right now. It's early on in the season. It's a small scale, but I'm going to roll with that. And they're going to hopefully bounce back with a strong pitcher on the mound. The problem was last week, I had a strong play on a bounce back situation for the Dinos, Dave, but it was when their worst pitcher, their number 4 guy, was on the mound. So at least this time they're coming off a loss, and they got a guy like Wright on the mound here for them. KT Wiz taking on the SK Wyverns. 6-5, very close game, entertaining game there as well. This should actually be a pretty good series. I think this one should be close through 3 games, and we're seeing it with the odds we're being provided here. Around minus 120, 125 in favor of SK, and we got Kim on the mound with a 4.91 ERA, 1.27 WHIP for the SK Wyverns. And he pitched 5.5 innings. His last outing gave up 3 earned runs, couple walks here and there. But he's coming off a guy, just pretty much 4.5 ERA. This is a guy's relief pitcher that hasn't looked great. 2 innings pitched, and he hasn't looked too solid. So, but the thing is, lack of information. What do we really know about a guy that's not too much that we've seen from him so far? But I'm going to go ahead here, and I was on SK yesterday, very lightly. It wasn't an official play for me with the clients. Touched on it with the show with Pinto. I'm going to go back here with SK, a pretty good price with them. And I think that as much as they struggled in the season, Dave, one thing we've noticed with them, it hasn't really been too much of highs and too much of lows. Obviously, they've had lows in the standings, but they haven't really been rattled game to game. It's just been SK. That's kind of just what they've been doing their thing. So I like SK here at a pretty good price.
Yeah, to me, I look at the total. I'm not really interested in backing the Wyverns. Same thing as yesterday. I don't like them as a favorite. Kim has been unimpressive. I mean, these are ugly numbers. 33 innings. The 29 hits 22 hits isn't bad, but a lot of runs, and the problem is walks. He's got more walks than strikeouts. This is never a good sign. The other team's going with a rookie who's basically, this is going to be a relief pitcher game for the Wiz, and their bullpen is horrible. So you've got an instance where even with a lower scoring team like the Wyverns, they should be able to score some runs tonight. The Wiz offense is fine. They don't pitch very well. I think this game's got a good chance to see lots of runs being scored. And if you can throw an error or two in along the way, and it should get there easily.
Love it, Dave. Jake here saying like Seoul, where Joe's a rookie reliever, and Kim's not looking too good as well. Also, 213 Baptist. Yeah. Not exactly.
Very fortunate.
Yeah. No, great work there, Jake. You definitely did come prepared to the show. Jeff Swayze saying, watching the show every day and first time joining. We love to have you live. It's nice to have guys in the chat box joining in. Mike, Matrix, Shad. Appreciate you guys tuning in, up to 55 live viewers. We're kind of zooming through the card here, but I definitely like the over there as well at 10. And we've talked about KT's bullpen all season long, all pretty much the whole time since we've been doing this show, Dave.
It's 11. But just so we want to make sure the numbers are right there. It's 10.5 or 11. There's no 10s out there.
Right. Yeah. 10.5. Yep. So when we see a relief guy now getting the start, though, and it hasn't looked that great, doesn't that just seem like a right away, especially his opposition guy for SK? Would you possibly with KT? I know you're not really a first 5 guy like myself, but would you in this one definitely advise people, if you're going to like the total here, stay away from a first 5 and just specifically look for the full game, because the bullpen is going to be just as rough, I think, for KT than their starting pitcher is.
Yeah, I agree. Their bullpen's horrible, and it was added again last night. Mm-hmm. And the Wyverns bullpen also struggled in the game, and both bullpens got used. So a lot of things that do point to a pretty high-scoring game here, even with a poor offensive team involved in the Wyverns.
LG Twins, Hanwha Eagles. Look, Dave, I laid a price yesterday on the LG Twins on the run line. Decent price, a price I don't usually like to lay. However, I looked at myself and said, Andrew, you haven't really made enough and cashing up tickets for your clients fading the Hanwha Eagles. And that's what I tried to do yesterday or this morning, was to kind of get back on that and try and pick a spot to fade this team at a decent price, or a price that I thought was still too good to be true, even though it was pretty high. And, absolute dominance. I mean, this is from the start of this game, it wasn't even close. And, you and I watched back one of our episodes, Dave, and I loved it when someone in the chat box said something, and you said, there aren't enough jokes to be made about this team. and right now you look at it, I mean, we talked about how they celebrated their victory like it was a World Series win, and now getting right back to being completely destroyed. So, you're saying that this is a team that's hard to really, even be involved with right now. How do you approach this? I know you said you've been more of a totals guy recently, especially with this league. How do you approach this contest here with the Twins and the Eagles?
Well, the Eagles are still waiting for Bell to get his stuff together. The interesting thing is that he did pitch. His first appearance was against this team this year, and he actually looked good. 3 1/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs. And they got him out of there. He was on a pitch count. Since then, he's been awful. The numbers are just ugly on Bell, but you know that he does have the ability, at least at this level, to turn that around. Not particularly enamored with Lim, who's, he's a very hittable guy. But can Hanwha take advantage of that? I'm not so sure. No, I think the Twins will win the game. But again, it's, excuse me, in that price range that I'm not really comfortable with. And so it's basically a stay away game for me.
Well, the square parlay of last night would have been Twins, Kiwoom, Twins and Heroes. I'd say right now I'll go right back to Fade and Hanwha. I'll go Twins and Bears for me, tying the 2-team parlay together. I think the Bears get the job done, and I think the Twins continue to get the job done. And it's interesting because you've mentioned it every single time we've seen Bell on the mound for the Eagles, and I've been talking about trying to back some of these, import pitchers versus Korean-born, Dave, but this is a guy that we definitely haven't wanted to really been involved with. So, that's the show here today. We've got, some decent matchups. I actually like the first couple of games we're seeing of this week. It's nicer to see at least, in the Wyverns game, a pretty close numbers, but it's a lot better when you see some head-to-head matchups and stuff like that. But totals have been good right now. And I think that we're still seeing the market overreact to what we saw in the first 2 weeks of the season, with just what were some of these scores we were seeing, Dave? What was it like, 13-8?
Well,
13-7?
this game's still, 4 of last night's games went over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's still plenty of runs.
And we were on the under. So we'll take that.
No complaints with that one.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into the show today. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Dave, I believe you have a package up, some picks for KBO.
I have one pick, but I'm going to add another pick, so that I'll have two up. One is a featured play, and the other one will be for people who are subscribers to all access platforms. So if you want to get both plays, buy an all access pass. I'll have the golf up probably sometime this evening.
Right.
There's 3 guys I've kind of zeroed in on for this week's tournament, and I'll be playing them in matchups, and I'll see if we can have a good weekend.
My golf will be up tomorrow afternoon, and my UFC, I have a 5% play getting posted later on this evening. So who says there's no sports going on right now? We got definitely some sports going on. Golf was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to bet on last weekend. Both Dave and myself will be involved. And Dave, somebody was saying yesterday if he could find some odds somewhere on some sports book for the odds that you wear a blue shirt on a show.
I wear blue a lot.
Days.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite color.
I like it as well. All right, Dave. Have a great night. We'll see all of you guys tomorrow on the show, 4 p.m. Eastern time, just like normal. Good luck with your wagers. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.